Hi, and this is going to be a brief introduction on how to go about doing the three-dimensional side of that pipe model. I don't think that you will have many problems, or you shouldn't have many problems producing the 2D version. That's just drawing in lines and circles. However, I know that I haven't done that much detail in doing some of the other 3D modeling commands. So I'm just going to go over a similar model. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be a similar model. So this could be done in the format a bit similar to the exercises that we did when we made an exercise, and then you had to figure out what the assignment would be. So first things first, I'm going to draw this one almost in a similar way to doing the 2D. So once you have your 2D model, you should be able to use the items that's on the 2D model to actually perform the 3D. So I'm just going to go up to the standard menu, the home menu, and I'm going to grab myself a circle. And I think the original one, let me put my F9 key on, the original one that you were expected to do in 2D is 225 millimeters. I'm going to make this thing 200 millimeters. All right, so it's slightly different. So I'm going to type in units, UNITS, and then I'm going to change my inches to millimeters and say OK. Now we're in metric. So circle into the center of the screen. I'm going to pull that thing away, and it's going to be way bigger than the actual screen right now, so we're going to have to zoom back out. But if we want a diameter, we do D, enter, and I'm going to do like a 200, and then enter. Then I'll have to zoom back because it's far bigger than the screen. Okay, so where do we go from there? Well, we're just going to grab a polyline, go to the outside of the circle, and come down. Once we click the center point of the circle, we can just come and say, well, that is our straight across flange pipe. Now, your one on the exercise is going to be 45 degree, and you can see that on the actual diagram. So 45 degree would come down there. Now remember, if you're going to do a line at a set length, and we know that this is 200, so I've done that at approximately about 250. I'm going to do mine at about, let's say, 80 degrees, not 45. I'm not going to repeat exactly what this thing is. So I'm just going to go polyline from the center point, and from there it's going to be 180. I can't remember what I said. I think it was 80 degrees. So 180 plus 80, which is 260. So I'm going to do at around about 250. So 250, open angle, 260 degrees, just so it's slightly different. Oh, that was a long one. Oh yeah, it should have been 100. Yeah, whatever. So that's going to be my pipe. That's going to be my pipe. It's going to go through 80 degrees. Yours will go through 45. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a center line, because once I do this flange up here, I'm going to mirror it down here. Okay, you only make one flange. Remember, you always, if you can, copy it, move it, whatever. Don't draw two objects. Draw one and then move it or change it in some way. So I'm going to put my second one on. This time I'm going to do a decent length line. I'm going to do like 125 now. So I'm just going to say, right, at 125 with an open angle, and I've done 260 before. As I've got an 80 degree spread, I'm going to take 40 off, so I'm in the middle. Okay, so it was 260. This one will be at 220. But you get the general idea. This is a midway point. Okay, we're not going to use that one to draw on. We're going to use it to mirror things around. Okay, so what about the next? Well, now that we've got these two lines, the inside of what would be your 45 degrees, right? That would be the inside. The flanges go on the outside of these, okay? I'm going to trim this thing off because I only really need that piece of arc. That's all I need. So, trim, and I'm just going to select those two pieces, right click, and then left click. So now I've got the center line of where my tube is going to go. Okay? So what do we do next? Well, now we're going to go into 3D a little bit. And we know that that thing is dead across at the top, same as your one is on your example, right? So if that's approximately where it was, right? Just do a right click so I get my little icon back up. In fact, if you can't see your icon, mine's right there in the center, or you want to move it over to the side or whatever. Well, we're looking at the X and the Y in the direction that we drew. Now, if we want to look down directly on the top of where that tube will be, we would have to turn that X and Y, and yours will be no different, so you're going to be doing it the same way. So if we grab one of these little sprigs and they come out like to the right, they go straight up, and this Z points straight out towards us. We want to grab the X, okay? So I'm just going to escape out the trim command because I'm finished with that. And now I'm going to go UCS, then enter. And I want to enter the X because that's the one we want to turn around. Then enter. And it doesn't really matter which way around I do it, but I'm going to go minus 90. You can leave it at 90 and have the Z coming downwards. It makes very little difference, okay? But now, if we just turn this thing over, you can see that our Z is going in the direction that we want to do the extrusion. It also means that if we have a circle, and I'm just going to grab a circle, same as before, and put it right there on the end of that arc, because that's the center point of where our tube's going to go, and click, that I can pull it out this way now. Okay? Now, again, I'm not going to duplicate what the actual exercise is in its entirety, but I am going to make that thing, should we say, yeah, it looks around about right. So I'm going to do a 70 rad or 140, right? So now if I turn that thing around, you'll see where it is in relationship to the model. Now hopefully you can see that once I've done that one, I can now mirror this thing the other side, okay? So I've got one part of my flange on. Now the second part of my flange is going to be yet another circle on that top piece, okay? And I'm going to bring that one out. This one I'm going to bring out to around about, let's say 50. So that's my flange, okay? I can now extrude that by going to 3D Tools and extrude, grab these two objects because the Z is going straight up and down from that flange, hit a right click and enter, and now you can see that I can pull it down or I can push it up. And in this case, I'm just going to do something pretty small, so I'm just going to do a 12 mil. That's around about ½ inch, and enter. Okay, so now you can see that I've got it on the top because I've just done 12 mil. That gives me positive, so it goes up. I've got my 12 mil flange on the top, and that, apart from the subtraction, is basically the flange. Now, to put the holes on there, and I could just look straight down on top of that circle. So I'm going to hit the escape key to get out of 3D orbit. I'm going to type plan, P-L-A-N, then enter, and enter. This is my circle looking from the top. So I can go back now because I didn't want to do another extrude. Grab myself a circle. I'm just going to go across here and I'm going to place it roughly, and I think that would have been like 60 right to the very center, which is there, okay? So on my flange, I'm going to do 60, but you'll see where the center point of your flange is, okay? and then you pull it out to a rough size. In this case, I'm going to do mine about 6.25. That's a quarter of an inch. Okay, so I want a 6.25 in mine. You just put whatever you need or what you think looks pretty okay, isn't it? Okay, there's my circle. I'm going to hit my array command, hit the right hand caret, and come down to polar array. I'm going to grab my circle and hit enter. Okay, then I'm going to come to the center of that thing and hit enter again. Now at that point we're done, right? So I'm just going to hit escape, and we've got our 6 circles. But you can see, and if you remember from our exercises, you have to explode these things to make them individual, otherwise they will not extrude, right? So we go to the explode command, which is that little box on the right hand side of the modify menu, and then we left click on that bolt ring pattern, which is what we did in the mock. We done it in the final, and we also done it on exercise 2. So now that I've done that, basically I can just move that thing around and maybe pull it down a little bit. You can see that we've drawn these things on the bottom part of that. We've done it on the bottom part of the flange because that was the level point. So now I'm going to extrude these. I'm going to extrude them, pick them one by one. We only want the 6, like I said. I don't want to make it too difficult or make you think too much. And it doesn't matter how high you make them, I'm just going to click them there. Okay, so now I'm going to do my subtract. I'm going to left click the outside of my flange, right click, and then I'm going to left click everything I want to take away from my flange, which is all of these little holes, and I made them up far enough that I can see everything, and the inside, and then right click. So remember, all the holes and the inside hole. Bang. Now, just to make sure, always go to your visualize. Then you can come down and look at realistic. There is your flange plate. Okay. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, and I know you're not, but you're probably thinking to yourself, how easy was that? Right? It's just a flange plate. You're worried about doing that curve that's on an angle. How are you going to do that? That, believe it or not, is the easiest part of this object. So just for now, just so you get more visual, I'm going to turn back to the 2D. Now this line is going to be our mirror line. Okay. And basically when you look at this icon right now, we can only draw in the X and Y, and any mirrors will go round in the X and Y. So now that we've changed our X and Y by turning it around in the X, we need to turn it back. Okay. Now there's an easy way of doing that. We're just going to type in UCS, then enter, and then we're just going to hit enter again because it's on world as a default, and it goes back. See, it's simple, right? Now we're just going to move that around a fraction so we can see more of that line. There we go. And we're going to do a mirror command, which is in the home menu. And there is our general mirror command. We're going to grab this item, which is all in one now because we've done the subtractions. So that's the item we want to mirror. And that point and that point is our mirror point. Left click, right? But remember to hit the enter key or the mirrored object will disappear. So it says on your command line, mirror array source object, and the answer is no, right? It's already on the screen in default. So just hit your enter key, both things go white. You've now got two objects exactly where they should be. Okay, so if you just go on there, oh dear, I think I'm in the middle of, yeah, I'm in the middle of the mirror command. So let me just grab that and turn it around, and you can see those are the two flange ends of the pipe.